The History Channel's hit show Pawn Stars has had millions of fans who have loved every episode since it started in 2009. The show became a classic thanks to the hosts, who were three generations of the Harrison family and Chumlee Russell. The show also had shop staff, experts, and famous people. Rebecca Romney, an expert on old and rare books, was one of those experts who kept coming back to the show. Because her time on the show was so interesting and useful, she went on to appear in many more episodes. This is why Romney's fans were shocked when he stopped being on the show. Many people started to worry about her health because of the bad things that had happened to other important show group members. Let's look at what really happened to Romney and let you know what's going on with her now. People who watch the show know a bit about the Harrisons guys and Chumlee, but not much is known about their guest experts. People have grown closer to people like Romney since then, though, because he saved the day for the shop workers, the shop itself, and the customers. People were eager to learn more about their favorite guest star. He was born and raised in the Las Vegas area. It turned out after some research. She has always loved reading, but her first job was teaching swimming. And she herself says that she got into the business of rare books by chance. In high school, she began to learn French and Japanese. She added ancient Greek and Latin to her schooling while she was getting her BA in classical studies and linguistics. So in 2007, she went to work in the rare book business. She worked at Bauman Rare Books in Las Vegas. The business had just moved to a new spot. She could see a lot of rare books, manuscripts, and records here, which she probably wouldn't have been able to see if she had worked somewhere else in the same field. During a QA with fans, she told them, "Really what drives me is the company I work for, Bauman Rare Books, which has been around for decades and is based back east in Philadelphia and New York. There are people at our company whose only job is to buy books. That's what I really do. I run the company's gallery in Las Vegas, offer unique books for sale. It's not something I do for a living. Running the store is enough." By 2010, she had already become manager, only 3 years after starting at the company. She was working here when she was hired to add to a Pawn Stars that was already out there. Pawn Stars fans saw Romney on TV for the first time in 2011. The show was already in its 4th season at this point. But this working together didn't happen by chance. Rick Harrison and his late father, Richard the Old Man Harrison, owned the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop together. They opened it when Rick was 23 years old, in 1989. In 2001, Rick and the shop were on TV, and in 2003, they were in a Las Vegas episode of Insomniac with Dave Attell. Rick knew that TV would bring more customers to the shop. He tried for 4 years but couldn't find producers who would invest in his plan. But luckily, the 2001 PBS show about family-owned pawn shops that showed the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop would give the right people an idea. Pawn Stars came about when someone thought of a TV show about a family-run shop. And the right people were Brent Montgomery and Colby Gaines from Left Field Pictures. They had been to Las Vegas over the weekend in 2008. Rick Harrison prayed for it to come true, and his pawn shop, which was less than 2 miles from the Las Vegas Strip, was chosen for the project. At first, the show was called Haunting History. It was given its current name because the old name sounded like a bad spelling of porn stars. The Porn Stars storyline involved real people bringing old or rare things into the famous Gold and Silver Pawn Shop in Las Vegas to get an appraisal or just get rid of them. Pictures were taken on location there. The most common thing people brought into the shop was and still is jewelry. In each show, one of the staff members would clearly explain the history of these items. Most of the time, this answer would come from Rick or his dad. A guest expert would sometimes be brought in because of a common problem like not being able to properly evaluate the item. The idea of having experts check out an item on camera was added as the show was being put together. What happened next changed everything because it proved that the show was real. That made the pawn shop look even better. An expert can look at an item to see if it is real and how much it might be worth. It was also thought about how much it would cost to fix something if it was broken before a final decision was made. Romney came into the game at this point. There were, of course, other experts on the show, but Romney just did his job. This is why. Romney and Rick knew each other. Yes, these two knew each other before the show. From then on, it only brought them together. Romney said, "We're actually friends, we've gone on 2 dates and such." That did happen, though, after we had spent time together after making the show. She also said, "I do sometimes do some consulting work for Rick behind the scenes. My main job is to shoot, which can happen as few as once a month, or as many as 3 times a week." It will depend on when they find a book they want to shoot with. And when a book like that is brought in, Romney is told what it is before the shooting starts. She doesn't see the thing very often, though, until she gets to the set and the screen lights up. But in show business, things can change quickly, and sometimes the item isn't even what she was told it was. To deal with it, Romney said, "There are millions of books out there for me on the spot. I don't remember all of the specifics, reference points, etc. for every book that exists, but I do remember a good chunk of them. Anyone who is an expert in that field will tell you that another part of being an expert is knowing where to find reliable information. It's pretty important for me to know something before I go. This is true even though Romney doesn't work for the show. She is called ahead of time because she is a guest expert. She says she has to work at a store full-time and can't just drop everything to go there whenever. People saw a very interesting side of buying and selling books when Romney worked as a rare book trader. Romney was in charge of judging the value of the books that people brought into the shop on the show. It was a good combination for her job that she knew a lot about books and was good at using her natural eye. That's why, even though she was the only woman, she was one of the longest-running experts on Pawn Stars. She gained a lot of loyal fans who loved old books through the show. At one point, the show was involved in a big scandal that made it hard to keep going. Several people said that the whole show was staged. Then someone said he had been an extra on the show and was telling everyone what it was really like to film at the shop. I was an extra on Pawn Stars and happened to be in the right place at the right time. We went to the store as tourists, and my friend bought his wife a Cartier watch. Our helper, Ray, told us that they were going to film a piece and asked if we would like to be extras. We said yes. A piece of melted sand from one of the nuclear tests in the desert was being looked at by Chum and Big Hoss. Everyone left the store except for the 12 or so extras who had signed up. They told us not to make noise or look at the camera, and they told us to walk around the cases like buyers. It took almost an hour to film the part. The portion that aired was about 5 minutes long, and several scenes were shown again. That cool museum guy was brought in to make sure the piece was real. A few of the talks were reshot because they didn't seem to follow a script very well. The girl with the thing finally chose not to sell it. That day she didn't just walk in, but no one seemed to have a plan to follow either. It's clear that the show wasn't faked, as some people say. More was said about the report that this man made about the sellers not showing up that day. An extra part was only added to the show when the pawn shop owners find interesting things and show them to the producers, who decide if they are good enough to air. A seller would have to come back at a different time, because shooting needs to be planned ahead of time. After that, when the shooting starts, these normal people may get scared or show signs of nerves because it's likely their first time being on camera. With that, you might need more than one try to get it right. Some things have been cut from the show because the seller couldn't pull them off on camera, but this doesn't happen very often. Executive producer Brent Montgomery also said that buyers were checked out before they were allowed to be on Pawn Stars. We need to make sure that these people will really sell the stuff at a fair price behind closed doors. It's just that they want to be on TV. That was pretty easy for us to figure out. She also spoke up when her fans asked if the show was fake. They are still a pawn shop that works. Yes, they now have swag in half of the space, but they still buy and sell other things. As far as I know, I've never been in an expert scene where the seller or the thing was planted. For most people, that seemed to clear up the claims. At some point, Pawn Stars had become the most popular show in history with millions of watchers. A lot of people watched it, one of the most watched History Channel shows ever. After that, it was shown so much that each episode went from 23 minutes to almost an hour. When it came to educational material, it did great, so much so that famous people like Bob Dylan, Phil Collins, Steve Carell, and many others went on the show. The shop and its staff also won the National Pawnbroker of the Year award for getting the business more attention and a better reputation because of the show. The Clark County Commission made July 17th Pawn Stars Gold and Silver Pawn Day, which is a holiday just for them. As well as all that, the show made its group members very famous, turning them into reality TV stars while also giving them money. However, things weren't always easy for the Pawn Stars group. There were some terrible events. Pawn Stars viewers really liked Chumlee. He was on the show with Corey Harrison and was friends with her, so he added his own funny and interesting personality, which made it more fun to watch. But in 2016, he got into a lot of problems with the law because he was accused of sexual assault. And when they searched his house for evidence in the case, they found a gun and a lot of drugs. He was caught and charged with 19 counts of drug crimes and 1 count of having a weapon. He had to pay more than $60,000 in bail. But the Pawn Stars star made a deal with investigators months after he was arrested. He didn't have to go to jail because of the deal. Additionally, it was made easier because the sexual assault charge against him had no proof, even after a full probe into the claims. After 2 years and 10 years of Pawn Stars, Richard, an old man who had Parkinson's disease, died at the age of 77 in 2018. Rick told everyone on social media about the news. Richard Benjamin, who was Harrison's old man, died this morning with his family and friends by his side. I looked up to him. I was lucky to have a really cool old man as a dad. Being able to share him with so many others and let them see what a great family man he was makes me thankful to have known him. In 2023, 5 years after his grandpa died, Corey Harrison got into trouble with the law. In the early hours of September 8, 2023, he was caught for DUI when his Ford truck went from the right lane to the bike lane. People who saw Corey after the police pulled him over said he had bloodshot, runny, droopy eyes and smelled like alcohol. He also failed a field sobriety test. Rick had to deal with a second loss when Corey's brother Adam Harrison died. It made all the other sadness seem like nothing. A police report says that Adam Harrison was discovered dead in a guest house in the middle of January 2024. According to the report, Adam hadn't been seen in a few days. This made the owner check on Adam at his guest house and find him not responding. Rick made the sad announcement, "Yes, I can confirm that Adam died from a fentanyl overdose." We need to pay more attention to the fentanyl problem in this country. It looks like nothing is being done to stop it from crossing the lines. We need to do better. Romney had been on TV less and less because of all these bad things that were happening. This made Romney's fans worry. Actually, she married JP Romney in 2016 and is connected to Mitt Romney, who ran for president through her marriage. She moved in with her husband in Philadelphia, where he is from, after getting married. There, she was in charge of the company's main activities. She also bought libraries and made sure that catalogs were made. Someone who liked Romney asked her about how her husband handles the attention she gets from Pawn Stars fans because she is pretty and smart. The fan was worried that the fame was making Romney crazy. The sad side of things came out in her answer. That's what happens to women on TV since I'm one. People make it clear they don't care about the fact that I'm focused on books, which makes me a little angry. It's just how I look. But once more, I'm on TV. This is what I expect and get in return. She also said, that being said, I do expect and ask that people treat me with respect as a fellow human being. When asked about how her husband felt, she said, my husband just finds it funny. Romney also began working for another rare book company after leaving the screens, Wax and Honey. In 2016, she and her husband started a book show called Biblioclast while she was there. It ran for about a year. In 2017, she and her husband, who is also an author, wrote a book together. It was called Printer's Error: Irreverent Stories from Book History. Trump quit Honey and Wax in 2019 and began her own business in 2020 called Tight Punch Matrix. She currently lives in Washington, D.C. Even though Romney isn't on Pawn Stars anymore, she is still very much a part of the show through YouTube ads, shorts, and old episodes.